Hi, it's Connor from Mast, and what we're going to do today is go through a one-to-one setup of a VTO VTH. So I have a VTO 2311 here, one of the Villa stations, and a 2421, which is a VTH. And I'm just going to get the VTO to be able to call the VTH from default start, so from absolute factory defaults. So if we refresh the list, we'll see our VTH and VTO there. You can initialize the VTO from Config Tool or do it from its webpage. I'm going to initialize it with Config Tool in this example. So we can see our VTO here and our VTH. Initialize. The password for the VTO and VTH can be letters and numbers. Previously on version 4.5, it had to be 6 numbers, but now you can have the same password for both units. So I'm just going to use our default in here. And now the VTO has been initialized through Config Tool. So if we refresh, we can see that it has been initialized. Next, we'll do the VTH. So initialize, give it the same password as the VTO. And now we have initialized both units. So there's no strict order for how you have to do this. What I will do first is go to the VTO's webpage. So we can see its IP address is 109. So we'll go to 192.168.1.109. And then we'll see the login page. So just enter the details I've initialized it with. Perfect. So I want to use this as the SIP server. So I will choose next. And the first thing we'll do in this case is check the network settings. So on our network settings, we'll go to SIP server. We can see that the local SIP server is enabled, which means the VTO is running as the SIP server. So the SIP server's IP is going to be the same as the VTO's IP. Now that we have a SIP server running, we're going to go to device setting. You can leave these in or keep them out. Obviously, these will not be used in this example. What I'm going to do here is add a VTH to the device setting option. So if we go into device setting, we'll see a list of rooms. So you don't need these here, so you can delete them. So I'm just going to get rid of a few here and delete. Now we've only got the SIP server, which is currently online and running. So what I need to do is tell the VTO that there's going to be a VTH on this system with the room number 1-0. On VTH, room number 1-0, registration password, you can leave that as default. That is not the same password that you've initialized the VTH with. So 1-0. Currently offline because I've not set up the details for 1-0. Now that the SIP server is online and I've told the VTO that we have room 1-0 in our system, on Config Tool, because the VTHs don't have a web GUI, go to Device Config, VTH, and this is where you'll need to enter the VTH username and password that you've initialized it with. And now we can see our settings on the VTH. So if I delete that out, I'm now saying this VTH is 1-0. We've told the VTO to look for 1-0. It's going to be a main VTH. The SIP server IP is the same IP address as the VTO because that is the SIP server. So 109. SIP register password, leave that as default. Login user, this is the password for the VTO. So the same one you've initialized it with. And okay. Now those settings are correct. While you're here as well, network terminals, main VTO, you'll want to enter these details because this is how you can see the VTO from the VTH. So again, VTO's password, VTO user, this is the password of the VTO again, and make sure that's enabled. So now, even if the SIP server was offline, I could still see the VTO from this VTH by going to monitor on the VTH and save that. Now that our devices are online, we can see the VTO online and the VTH. If we go to local device config, the last bit of setup we'll need to do is to make sure that the Villa Station is set to ring room 1 because we've set up our VTH as room 1. So we've got room 1 in here, which is under Villa room number. That decides that when we press the button, what room is it going to be calling. So make sure that's saved and applied. On the VTH, may still be on the language menu. So if we just go through a few settings here, next, English. Now it's back onto the main VTH screen and we can see that the time is an hour out. So if you want to set the time, the VTO controls the time as well. So if you set the time on the VTO, that will then push through to the VTH. Time settings can be found under system, time, and just for ease, I'm just going to sync PC in this instance, but I would recommend setting DST going forward. Apply. And eventually that will then push through to the VTH. You might have to reboot the system if that's not gone through. All that's left to do now that the VTH has been completely initialized is to test the system.
Calling. Please wait.
And as you can see, great success.
The number you dialed is busy.
So as you can see, that's how easy it can be to set up just a one-to-one system. If you do want to see more things like setting up multiple screens, sub VTHs, sub VTOs, leave a comment, let us know.